while she was declared brain dead, because of God and her mother and a few other people, she wasn't killed, as currently happens in people who are called brain dead.
Doctors are able to do this thing. Isn't it moral because they're able to? It's been compared to me before to in vitro fertilization. Seems miraculous, seems like you have life and conception where there couldn't be. And yet it is, while being a fantastical type of thing, is completely immoral. It's outside of God's plan for procreation. And so similarly, even though it does seem rather miraculous what they can do, what science has advanced to, what physicians can do, surgeons can do, it's still immoral. This is not real death, it's brain death, a category created so that they could do these things. Even though it's quote unquote helping people, where some people get help, they are helped, but also they have to take these anti-rejection drugs, which costs a lot. But imagine too, you can help poor people by stealing from other people, robbing them or whatever, but that doesn't make it right either. So the morality here is not a case of morality because you can do this seemingly wonderful thing. That doesn't make it moral. Let's talk for a little bit about what happens with brain death and after the fact. We've had these designations where people have been on the list to go for brain death, but then woken up out of their designation, but prior to extraction surgery, which would have killed them for sure.
Well, that's been around for a long time, John Henry. A couple of things early on when I started to investigate, there was a patient who had flat brainwaves for 39 days and then woke up. In Madison, Wisconsin, there was a man, Mr. Wintergron, who was declared brain dead, and as they started to do something to take his eyes, he blinked. And so there were always, from the beginning, it's that way. But, the doctors who declare death, they said, well, they're always dead when they do it. Well, we have a few examples of what happens. An outstanding example is Jahai McMath, a lot of notoriety, a 13-year-old girl in California who had tonsil surgery and then was said to be brain dead. And her mother got on the TV, is actually in the same room where I'm sitting now. Her mother was on the TV and pleaded, well, is there anyone out there that will help him? My son was right next to me and he poked me and he said, well, Dad, what are you going to do? So I went to California and they wouldn't let any doctors in to see her. So the way I got in was about 2:00 in the morning, and her stepfather, with guard in between, her stepfather said, oh, Pastor, come on in here. That's how I get in to see her. They wouldn't call her by name. They referred to her as a dead body. They gave her no nutrition for a month, no nutrition. And so we got involved, and she was deficient in thyroid, and we found a way to give her that and get her started on that while she was still in California to get out of that hospital. Incidentally, she had a death certificate in California. She had all the tests for brain death. She had 3 treating physicians who said she was brain dead. The court appointed another expert from Stanford who came along and confirmed that she was brain dead. Got her transferred to New Jersey, where they gave her treatment that she needed. In a few months, she was transferred out to an apartment where her family took care of her. New Jersey, I went to see her, and her mother would say, give me a thumbs up. And after a little bit, her thumb would come up, raise your left leg, and the same thing would happen. So while she was declared brain dead, because of God and her mother and a few other people, she wasn't killed, as currently happens in people who are called brain dead. They're all alive, their life gets ended, and if it's purposely ended by cutting out their vital organs, that's serious matter. If it's a question about whether the treatment is extraordinary means and the obligation to do it, that's another question. But if they do need the ventilator, as Jahai McMath did need the ventilator, she did. Anybody who's on a ventilator for about 2, maybe 3 weeks and has an endotracheal tube, that they cannot get out of an ICU unless they get a tracheostomy. The girl in California, she needs a tracheostomy, but they won't do it. A tracheostomy is to put a tube through the throat. So instead of the long tube that goes through the mouth, it's a short tube, and it makes it much easier for the patient to breathe through the one through the neck. Ada Nalu in Nevada, which incidentally, her case went to the Supreme Court in Nevada. We got a 7-0 unanimous ruling that the court could not accept what they were calling as brain dead and sent it back to a lower court. But in that case, no doctor at that hospital in Nevada would do a tracheostomy. Another doctor in Nevada would come and do it, but the hospital wouldn't allow them to do it. Treating the ear, nose, and throat doctor who was capable of doing it on the phone, he was practically in tears with me, saying, "I want to do it, but I can't take the pressure from my peers." And so it's a whole team of people that are all participating in this multi-billion-dollar industry, which depends on getting healthy organs, not damaged organs. So healthy organs, and where do you get healthy organs from?